This is the definition of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali from Wikipedia. The practice of writing a set of aphorisms with the author's own explanation was well known at the time of Patanjali. These research findings changed the historical understanding of the yoga tradition, since they allow us to take the Bhasai as Patanjali's very own explanation of the meaning of his somewhat cryptic sutras. The Yoga Bhasai states that yoga in the Yoga Sutras has the meaning of samadhi. Another commentary by a certain Shankara confirms the interpretation of yoga samadhi. Yoga in Patanjali's sutra has the meaning of integration. This Shankara may and may have not been the famed Vedantic scholar Adi Shankara, 8th or 9th century. Scholarly opinion is still open on this issue. Contents. Patanjali divided his Yoga Sutras into 4 chapters or books. Sanskrit Pada, containing in all 196 aphorisms, divided as follows. Samadhi Pada, 51 sutras. Samadhi is a state of direct and reliable perception, pramana, where the seer, purusha, pure consciousness, or the self, abides in itself. Samadhi is the main technique the yogi learns by which to calm the workings of the mind, whereafter kaivalya, the isolation of the seer from the impurities of the mind, is attained. The author describes yoga and then the nature and the means of attaining samadhi. This chapter contains the famous definitional verse, Yogas Citta Vritti Nirodha. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the restriction of the fluctuations of mind stuff. When the mind is stilled, the seer or real self is revealed. Then the seer is established in his own essential and fundamental nature. In other states, there is an assimilation of the seer with the modifications of the mind. 1.33 to 3.9 mentions 7 practices to still the mind. The 7th being meditative absorption, which is further explained in Yoga Sutra 1.4 to 5.1 and Yoga Sutra 3.1 to 12. Sadhana Pada, which contains 55 sutras. Sadhana is a Sanskrit for practice or discipline, aiming at discriminative discernment, to discern the seer or consciousness from its objects and hindrances. Here the author outlines 2 systems of yoga, Kriya Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, 8-limbed yoga. Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga is in the Yoga Sutras is a preparation for Ashtanga Yoga with 3 special elements of the niyamas, 2nd limb. 2.3 Tapas, austerity. 2.4 Svadhyaya, self-study of the scriptures. And 2.5 Ishvara Pradhyana, devotion to God or pure consciousness. Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is the yoga of 8 limbs. In Chapter 2, 5 direct aids for purification and aiding insight are outlined. 1. Yama, restraints or ethics of behavior. Yama consists of 1.1 ahimsa, nonviolence, 1.2 satya, truthfulness, 1.3 asteya, non-stealing, 1.4 brahmacharya, chastity, 1.5 aparigraha, non-possession. 2. Niyama, observances. Niyama consists of 2.1 satya, cleanliness, 2.2 santosha, contentment, 2.3 tapas or austerity, 2.4 svadhyaya, self-study, 2.5 ishvara pranayana, devotion to the Lord. 3. Asana, a physical posture in which one can be steady and comfortable. 4. Pranayama, control of the prana or breath. 5. Pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. 6. Dharana, concentration. 7. Dhyana, meditation. 8. Samadhi, absorption. The third pada, Vibhuti Pada, contains 56 sutras. Vibhuti is the Sanskrit word for power or manifestation. In Chapter 3, the last 3 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, known as Samyama, are outlined. 6. Dharana, concentration. 7. Dhyana, meditation. 8. Samadhi, absorption. Besides insight into pure awareness, Purusha, Samyama gives supranormal powers, Sanskrit siddhi, as the yogi gains access to and unites with the tattvas, the constituents of Prakriti. The text warns that these powers can become an obstacle to the yogi who seeks liberation. The fourth is Kavaya Pada. Kavaya Pada contains 34 sutras. Kavaya, isolation of the seer from the contents of the mind so that it is no longer disturbed by the movements of the mind. It stands for emancipation or liberation and is used where other texts often employ the term moksha, liberation. The Kavaya Pada describes the process of liberation and the reality of the seer. Philosophy, metaphysics. The metaphysics of Patanjali is built on the same dualist foundation of the Samkhya school. The universe is conceptualized as of 2 realities in Sankhya Yoga schools: Purusha, consciousness, and Prakriti, mind, cognition, emotions, and matter. It considers consciousness and matter, self, soul, and body, as 2 different realities. Jiva, a living being, is considered as a state in which Purusha is bound to Prakriti in some form, in various permutations and combinations of various elements, senses, feelings, activity, and mind. During the state of imbalance or ignorance, one of more constituents overwhelms the other, creating a form of bondage. The end of this bondage is called kaivalya, liberation or moksha, by both yoga and Samkhya school. The ethical theory of yoga school is based on yamas and niyama, as well as elements of the guna theory of Samkhya. Patanjali adopts the theory of guna from Samkhya. Gunas theory states that the 3 gunas, innate tendency or attributes, are present in different proportions in all beings. And these 3 are sattva, guna, goodness, constructive, harmonious; rajas, guna, passion, active, confused; and tamas, guna, darkness, destructive, chaotic. These 3 are present in every being, but in different proportions, and the fundamental nature and psychological disposition of beings is a consequence of the relative proportion of these 3 gunas. When sattva guna predominates in an individual, the qualities of lucidity, wisdom, constructiveness, harmony, and peacefulness manifest themselves. When rajas is predominant, attachment, craving, passion-driven activity, and restlessness manifest. When tamas predominates in an individual, ignorance, delusion, destructive behavior, lethargy, and suffering manifests. The gunas theory underpins the philosophy of mind in Yoga school of Hinduism. Soteriology. According to Bryant, the purpose of yoga is liberation from suffering by means of discriminative discernment. The 8 limbs are the means of achieving discriminative discernment, the uncoupling of Purusha from all connection with Prakriti and all involvement with the Chitta. Bryant states that to Patanjali, yoga practice essentially consists of meditative practices culminating in attaining a state of consciousness free from all modes of active or discursive thought, and of eventually attaining a state of consciousness is unaware of any object external to itself, that is, and is only aware of its own nature as consciousness unmixed with any other object. 1.2 Yoga is the inhibition of the modifications of the mind. 1.3 Then the seer is established in his own essential and fundamental nature. 1.4 In other states, there is an assimilation of the seer with the modifications of the mind. From the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali.